This is Backstage Nonsense. I'm Rusbe.
And I am Ritika.
And we bring you all the fun that happens backstage. And today we've got someone who is on the keyboard, but he
Yes.
also is a guitarist, he's also a singer, and he also does a lot of chord stuff. And this episode is for you because we're going to break things down for you so that you also understand. If you're a layman like me who doesn't understand music much, today's episode is going to give you the insights about what goes behind a song.
Correct.
And on that note, Cloyd, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Rusbe and Ritika. Hello guys, what's up?
So, Cloyd, how things, how did it all begin for you? Like, we usually start with this. Like, I've heard from people that you have learnt music.
Yeah. So when you want me to start from the beginning, do I start from the day I was born or do I start from the day?
From the day you remember.
Okay, jokes aside. Well, I would actually say I would have probably started playing the keyboard when I was really small. Don't really remember because I know my dad's a musician himself.
Right.
He's a singer, he's a guitar player, he's also a piano player. He started training me from a very young age, but I wasn't interested.
Okay.
I think right until I was in 7th standard, which was I think I was probably 10 or 11 at the time, I had no interest. Dad's students would be performing in school and stuff, but I would always be the background singer in the annual day programs, cultural programs. And I remember this one time, one of Dad's students' mom, this I have heard from my mom, okay? They taunted to Dad's like, oh, all your students are performing keyboards on stage and all of that. Look at your son, he's sitting in the corner, biting his fingers and like doing fidgeting with his fingers and stuff. So mom felt bad and then she was like, okay, we need to, push him to do it. And they forced me to do my first exam, I think probably learned for like 2-3 months after that. And I gave my Trinity exams and I just passed. I think I did grade 1 or something then.
Right.
So I would say that is when I kind of started 7th standard, so maybe 10, 11 years old. And I think I had my first, after that, Dad decided, I had this really tiny keyboard. So, in Heyman's episode, y'all would have seen that pianica that he played, right?
Yeah.
My original keyboard was that size.
Oh.
Okay, so it was just 37 keys. It was a Yamaha PSS 90, which Dad bought when he was learning, so in the early 80s or something.
Right.
He still has it. So that's probably 40, 50 years for that keyboard itself. So I did my first exams on that. I absolutely hated it because obviously, it's such an old keyboard. The piano sounded like it was, broken something, some, dabba or whatever. Like that kind of sound. And from there, Dad saved up, like he bought a Yamaha keyboard for me. It was one of the top of the line keyboards then, a Yamaha PSR. And I think I gave my grade 2 exam on that the next year and I actually got a distinction.
Okay.
Wow.
So mom dad saw that potential, like, within that 1 year of upgrading my keyboard, I think technology in the end, that curiosity and stuff is what helped me. And like, like the whole thing of trying to learn how it works, the sound of it, different instruments, the near realistic tones of that Yamaha keyboard, helped me learn the different ways. And I actually had my first, I could call it a professional performance that same year 2000. I'm Christian, I'm Catholic, so we had the communion ceremony in church for my sister.
Yeah.
And that was my first performance, first official show where I played the keyboard.
Nice.
And my sister sang, and I think Dad and a few other people sang, and all that in the group of probably 300-400 people.
Yeah.
Could be more as well, I don't remember. But so that's when it all started, I would say. And since then, it's been, things have just gone uphill for me. I joined a band the next year. It was a church band again, playing for Christmas Mass and church events and stuff like that. But I was this 10, 11, 12-year-old kid playing with guys who've been performing for years.
Yes.
Like all of them are uncles my dad's age.
Right.
Except for this one young guy who was a guitar player who used to play for a rock band. So it was quite a complex, and what you'll mention about the chords. I remember this one thing, we were trying to figure out chords for him, and I was probably, I think, in the 9th standard at the time, so maybe I would have been like 13 years old or 14 years old maybe, and I remember giving an input and they were like, oh, tu to bacha hai, tujhe kuch pata nahi hai. Like, you're a kid, you don't know chords, why are you, interrupting? And I took that aback and I was like, well, I know what I'm telling you is right. And it turned out to be that the chord that I suggested was actually the right chord. This does play a role because, it kind of tells me that I did have good ear then as well. And these guys appreciated that. And I remember one of the uncles was the band leader complimented to dad saying that your son's got his curiosity is going to take him places. Is it's going to help him learn, help him develop his music. And I would say he was spot on that, because that has helped me. And where I am today, I do want to credit dad for that. He is my role model, and I'm glad that he's currently in New Zealand with me. He's come on a visit with mum. And he's going to be there for Suneri Adi this year.
Great.
So he's going to be attending it, and he's looking forward to it as well. So I'm really glad
I
that
think,
he's going to enjoy this.
Nice.
Like definitely credit goes to your dad, but it also goes to that auntie who did that ungli, na?
Yeah, of course.
Well, yeah, I don't really remember what that auntie's name was,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
But I mean, it was actually mum, because mum pushed dad.
Yeah.
So it's the same. Like, I do get asked the same, because I've got two boys myself, 6-year-old Nathan and 2.5, almost 3-year-old Caleb. And a lot of my own friends ask me, oh, why aren't you pushing Nathan and Caleb to play the keyboard or play the drums? Because Nathan showed interest in drums when he was a baby. We've got videos of him actually jamming along in time as a 2-year-old kid.
Wow.
No longer. I'm actually selling the drum kit now. But, it's the same thing. Like, on my own experience, if I to push,
Yes.
these boys now, they will lose interest and they may never get it back again.
Correct.
So just want to give them their time. Whenever I'm like doing my work, practicing, preparing, they come and they'll try and start playing the keyboard and stuff. Nathan actually learned to play the C major scale on the keyboard by himself, just seeing me play and just trying out the notes. So
Wow.
I know he's got that in
Nice.
him. It's the same thing with Caleb. Caleb sings and in pitch. Like, he was singing just
so sweet.
in church last night with Natasha and me, and the hymns, one of the hymns in church, and he was actually repeating the words after and singing it in tune.
Oh.
And so I know they've both got the music in them, and I do want them to learn Indian classical, because that's something I didn't do.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that, my whole experience with Indian music. But so that's a little bit about me, and how it started for me, and hopefully my kids will surpass me and
Yeah.
be those heights, and probably not in New Zealand like you guys have spoken about, like great musicians. I just hope they become those.
Yeah. No. That I think there's a lot of passion in you. I can see in terms of music. When did you start your musical journey in New Zealand?
I would say the year I came. So I've been in New Zealand about 10 years now. I was fortunately the person I was living with, home staying with Natasha and me. He was a musician himself. He's a big Beatles fan, and he saw. I think we jammed once. I had no idea about the songs, what he was jamming to and stuff, but. Because I actually never listened to the Beatles back in India, maybe 1 or 2 songs, that was it. And we jammed along. He really, was taken up because I could play just by ear, followed him, and then he invited me to one of his party where he called all the possible musician friends he knew from New Zealand. So you all know Warren Mendonca, Blackstreet Blues, who plays for A.R. Rahman and stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So Warren's dad, Daryl, was there, was a bass player himself. Everard, who's playing bass, was there. So that's the first time I met Everard. There were a lot of other musicians over there, and so after that thing, Everard actually asked me if I would be keen to join his band. So I would say he was the first one to kind of give me my break in New Zealand. Like, the first band that I joined was Everard's band. It was called Spectrum at the time, and it was fun. And then Spectrum merged with Velocity, which is Alex and Jocel, and we're still together. This band still performing together. I believe you've performed with Velocity as well previously, so. And even Hemant has performed with them. So yeah, I'm still a part of Velocity, and I would say technically, Spectrum Velocity is the same band. So it's my first band in New Zealand.
Nice.
So they kind of gave me my break, and I'm still with them, and it's going great.
So you've been playing for so long, right? Since you were a kid, and you do a lot of shows here. What keeps you motivated to do it over and over and over again?
I think the biggest motivation, I would say, is the whole social aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's meeting so many new people. They are like family now. I've known most of these guys for like almost 4-5 years now. I've been doing it, and it's that whole bhaichara, that whole dosti, that whole pyar. The whole. The feeling of the belongingness, feeling of oneness. You're a team. You work with each other. You support each other. it's that, I mean, that's what pulls me back. It's like every time I start working on a show, I get frustrated and I'm like, nah, I think this is the last. But then once the rehearsals start, that whole fun starts, the backstage nonsense starts, you want more of it. And sometimes it's literally like especially during the COVID times when we had that, dull period where there were no shows. It was like, I was in, I don't know what to say, it's like people who are in rehab, they have those feelings where they are craving for that thing. Like I was craving for those rehearsals and those jam sessions. So there were times when I would call up Hemant and talk to him on the phone for hours, or I would call up, Evrard, or sometimes talk to Rachit on the phone, and like just calling up friends, just making those conversations, just to feel that, that whole thing that you were together and stuff, like, though it's just over the phone or on WhatsApp or whatever.
So now we've told our audience that today we're going to break down music,
Right.
and you have you work with a lot of musicians and singers, and you work on chords.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard now. Can you explain to a layman like me on how does for example, if I decide, hypothetically, if I decide to sing a song, what would the process be like if it has to go in a show?
So, I mean, a lot of people don't realize it, to be honest, but it's something we are, as our team of musicians and singers, some of our singer friends, are trying to tell people that chords is an important part of every show. It's an important part of the music, because and they don't realize that, okay, you'll have the percussions, you'll have lead parts, be it guitar or keyboards or a sax or anything. They will play their lines, but what about the rest? You need something to fill it up.
So chords is basically
It's basically everything in between, I would say.
Right.
So I would say, like, say for example, if you were making a carrot cake, you've got carrot and you've got your oven.
Yeah.
The chords are what everything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, that's just a vague example, a simple example, but that's in a way of putting it.
Yeah.
So if there was no one playing the chords in the keyboard, piano, or even an acoustic guitar, or the bass player playing that bass note, the low notes, there's nothing. There's that feeling of fullness wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So that is basically one of the things I do for the show, for Bollywood shows, and without it's. So if there's no lead parts, you just have chords, doesn't make sense, because it's just batter, okay?
Yeah.
But if you have only leads and you have nothing else, then it's just somebody playing a line and that's about it, and it's just empty space after that.
Yeah.
So it's like they all work in tandem with each other.
Yeah.
You cannot have one and not the other. You have
Correct.
to have them together, and each of them are equally important.
Yeah.
Also, with chords, if somebody plays the wrong chord, okay, you might have everything else going perfectly, but somebody is giving you the wrong chord at the back. The singer is going to lose track of what their melody line is, because that is what supports the singer's melody lines. Like the chords are based on those lines.
Right.
So coming down to how, like, I personally work, I mean, when it comes to this, so usually, the organizers give us the MP3 tracks. I start listening to them. I have this thing where I listen to them when I'm sleeping. Like, I'll have a speaker next to my head, so it's kind of subconsciously playing in my head. I've actually, I mean, I don't know how do you put it, but I'd read this research story thing about music and the subconscious helping you. Like, if you want to learn things and all, listen to a podcast, things in your sleep, and your brain will automatically learn it.
Yes.
And it's true. It works with me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try
I
that.
did this during my uni days, and I knew answers the next day for an exam.
Yeah.
It has worked for me.
actually-
I don't know if it will work for others. It has worked for me.
But actually,
It's the same with
just
music
on
for
that,
me.
I'm going to cut you through. But I was emceeing my first show over here in New Zealand, which was for my uni. And I had prepared the whole show in my sleep, because I was doing the other organizing bit as well.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to go to sleep, and I'm going to literally play the whole event, how it's going to happen. And in my sleep, I went through the whole event. And next day, it went exactly that way.
Yeah, that happens to me as well.
Is that what you're going to do in our show?
No, I hope not. I'll prepare more.
It has actually happened, I think, with some of the shows that are a lot more difficult, like ones that I feel are a lot more work. There are times where the whole show has gone in my. I've performed in my head.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I woke up the next day morning feeling that, having that feeling of deja vu. Like, okay, wait, did the show just happen? Like, isn't the show like tonight?
Yeah.
Like, so the whole thing, and it's kind of, I don't know whether it's providence or what, but it's like, it's just something. I don't know what it is. But in coming back to this, so like, I do listen to music, not all the time. It's just those few, few nights, and then even while driving to work and back, like listening to the songs. So just familiarizing myself. So when I actually sit to work on it, I know what to expect.
Yes.
So I'm the type of person who doesn't really like change. It takes me some time to adapt to changes. It takes me
Yeah.
some time to try new things. But this is kind of preparing myself to it. And over these last 5 years of just doing the Indian music in New Zealand, this is something that it has kind of changed over time. But this is what my current process is. So once I started, then it's a lot easier because subconsciously I know the song. So when I'm actually tracking my chords and everything, like it just flows.
Right.
So I have my keyboard or MIDI control on my thing. I've got Microsoft Word open on my PC. I download lyrics from online. I do get told a lot by organizers saying, "Oh, chords to milega Google पे Google search मार दे, chords मिलेगा वहाँ पे."
Yeah.
People don't realize, and it's not only Hindi, even with English stuff. They don't realize that the people uploading those chords are also musicians or people who don't really know stuff sometimes.
Right.
And half the time those chords are wrong. It's not as easy as just taking those chords from something and then just using
Playing
them
it.
because
Yeah.
they're never going to be the same as the original. It is your ear in the end,
Yeah.
and I trust my ear.
Yeah.
So even if I've gotten chords online or somebody else has given, like there was a show that happened a few shows ago. I won't actually mention the year, where chord charts were provided, but I would say probably 50% of these chords were wrong. So I actually sat and reworked all the chords. Because during one of the rehearsals where we used the original charts, the musicians were not happy and they were like, "What is this like?" And I was like, "Okay, give me a week and I will try and correct them." And corrected them, and the next rehearsal everything was fine because
Wow.
like I trust my ear, so I know what I am going to put down is going to be exactly like what's on the thing.
So sorry, what your process is on Word? You'll open the
So
lyrics.
I copy the lyrics and then I just so I format my stuff the way I like it, and then I color code the chords. Compared to the lyrics, like red color for chords and black for lyrics,
Yeah.
green for all annotations and things, and purple for like all melodic notes and stuff. So I kind of do it that way, and then I start typing out the chords. When I started initially, it was chords over lyrics. So if say for example, "Happy birthday to you," so happy would have one chord, you would have another chord. But I realized, this was something Vishnu used to play bass with us. Once it was like, "Oh bro, it would help if chords were bar wise rather than on the lyrics. It would be easier to pick it up."
Pick it up.
And I was like, "Yeah, that actually makes sense because then you don't have to follow the lyrics. You just follow the bars." Because like for me, I can do both, but not everyone can. Some people count bars when they play. So I thought, okay, so I have actually changed. So it's that experience of working with everyone, people's suggestions, their inputs, as what has helped me develop. So I would say currently I'm on like version 5 of like my own style of doing chord charts from when I started in doing the Indian stuff in 2018 to now, like in the last 6 years. It's like my own version every year, like trying out different
Sorry,
things.
just to understand. So when I was a kid in school, we learnt music, and when we were learning music, there was like this 4 or 5 lines,
5 lines.
and then you go like that, and then that. So you
Vertical
learn
and horizontal lines is what you're
So
saying?
that is basically a staff. That's staff notation.
horizontal
So
lines,
that's
and then you have those.
and you have 4 spaces in the middle, and you
4
have all the
spaces.
signs. So that is Western style of music notation.
Okay.
I see.
Okay, I have learned Western music, so that is my formal training that I've had growing up, and even till now, I have no formal training in Indian classical music.
Wow.
My dad always wanted me to learn. Dad started learning to play the tabla, and he's got a tabla set at home, which he actually wanted me to try. But I had this thing, like I played for a lot of bands in India, and even doing Hindi music over there. But it was always the rock version of the Hindi song. So I remember doing a lot of A.R. Rahman and a lot of like the popular musics in
Yes.
2000s and all of that. But they were always a rock version. So you just play anything on stage because half the time, like the whole idea was this, which is still the thing because my same bandmates still perform with the same thing, and they are like, "Oh, people get drunk after 9 o'clock, so nobody's going to remember what you play on stage." Like you can do. So I remember doing 20-minute keyboard solos and on the same one song. So one song is going on for like an hour.
Whoa.
The guitar player is like doing a 20-minute guitar solo. The drummer is doing a 10-minute drum solo. I'm the keyboard player is doing a 20-minute keyboard solo. People are dancing. So these are my memories from like the late 2000s before I came to New Zealand, of like actual live shows in India where we're performing for big corporate, good money, everything. But this is what's happening. I remember Roadhouse Blues probably once going on for like I think 2 hours.
Wow.
The same thing again. People are like, oh, again,
Repeat
again,
mein
again.
chala.
Yeah, repeat, like literally, like, no. So I think we played like till 4 in the morning, but I think the last 2 hours of it was just Rodas Blues on repeat.
My
So
God.
it's like that. I mean, yeah. So
I have
it's-
a question for you.
Yep.
Have you ever played the wrong chord on purpose?
All right.
Yep, I
Just
do.
for fun.
I do that a lot. I still do it.
Yeah.
It's how do you say it? It's like sometimes you need to keep the spark alive, right?
Yeah.
You need to have fun on stage. You cannot be like
On
playing-
stage you did that.
Yeah, I still do it sometimes.
Okay.
And Hemant knows this, and it's kind of like your inside joke.
Okay.
So it's like not like with the band. So the singer is doing their stuff, and sometimes it's a way of a payback because sometimes singers can be like, okay, I'm the singer, you're just a musician. So it's like that
Oh.
attitude. It happens a lot. Trust me, it happens a lot,
Yeah.
and
Really?
happens to everyone in the band. Like where the singer is like,
And
"Oh,
yeah.
मैं गाने गाने वाला है, तू सिर्फ बजाने वाला है,"
Yeah.
or like you only play the chords, like stuff like that. I've been told to my face, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes just to kind of give them the little thing that to put them in their place, you give them a slightly different chord. You change, like I wouldn't say I play the wrong chord, but I play a variation of the correct chord.
Okay.
So instead of playing a straight D7 chord, I will probably play like a suspended, or I'll play like a 9th or a 6th, and only somebody who recognizes that chord will look at me and like Don. He looks at me and he gives that smile. And it's just that subtle nod. Even Ravi realizes, Hemant realizes. Like sometimes even if I'm playing bass on the keyboards, like give a slightly different note. So instead of playing a D on the bass, I give an F sharp. So giving just a different note. So it's like it confuses the singer and you're like, oh my god.
So
it's like payback in the end. Like it's like, so I would say singers. I mean, I don't want to lose shows. I mean, still call me. but respect your musicians.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
because
course, 100%.
we are the guys who are supporting you. We are
Yeah.
backing you. We are not there. We are not your chelas or your chamchas, and you're not there to walk all over us.
yeah.
We are a
absolutely.
team. You might be front and center in the front, people praising you and all of that, but you won't be there unless for everybody in the background.
Perfect.
Correct.
And
So
this,
this is
where
very
Yeah.
important.
I want to ask you one thing is
Yeah.
how does it feel that even when you're doing like the whole band is there and you're doing your musical piece, but there's always like claps or hoo-ha for the lead who comes and does the lead bit. That's what you might have experienced
Yeah.
also and all. How does it feel to be like a chord guy but not a lead guy?
See, for me personally, I've always been a team player. Like whenever, like I know, Hemant plays leads, he always gets the claps and stuff. But for me, it's that personal satisfaction there that I am a part of his team. That I was also instrumental for that lead piece to get enhanced because I'm
Yeah.
playing the chords at the back. Like I said at the beginning, if only the lead piece was played and there was nothing else played, they would be like, okay, lead piece baja, but it sounds empty.
Empty.
So then they will
Empty.
blame that lead musician for making it sound empty.
Yeah.
Okay, so same way, there's always the blame added on someone. But if it's so like say if Eamon gets the praise, or if the lead guitarist Don gets the praise, or Ravi gets the praise, Ravi Shah, who's also a lead guitarist. It's the rest of the team at the back who has supported them as well. So same, just like the singer, doing their parts and the musicians performing along with them. It's the same for the lead musicians and well. But in the end, personally, I feel glad because we are a team, right? I'm not there to push myself and be like, okay, usko kyun praise kar raha hai? Like praise me, I did
Yeah.
this, I did that. If it wasn't for all of us working together in tandem, the show wouldn't be a success.
Correct.
So that is very important, and that's my personal satisfaction. I don't really care about the praise and my name getting called on stage and stuff, because I know in the end it's that self-satisfaction that
Yes.
I've done my job well,
Yeah.
that I've worked together, that I have supported and I've helped that show go good. Even if the organizers have tried to put me down, by saying tu sirf chords bajata hai, or not really be that hospitable, and my musician friends know what I'm talking about. Because there are very few organizers who actually care about us, who care for us, and before, during, and after the show. Not everyone does, only a few do, and I'm saying this. I know this is probably going to be backlash.
No, it is nice.
Okay,
No,
I
but
like that. I like that.
I am somebody who is quite honest like that. I
Yeah.
don't mind holding back, and I know my 6 years have proved my worth as well. So
Yes.
I can say this now because it's somebody has to say it, right? You
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
always
Yeah.
be charting people. So
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so that's my this thing. But
So I want to ask you one thing now.
Yeah.
So for someone who is aspiring to be a musician or a singer,
Okay.
you also play the guitar, right?
Yeah.
What's your story about how did you learn to play the guitar? We get to
So
that
actually,
first.
guitar was, I would say, before taking up the keyboards in 7th standard, I think I played guitar in church for a year probably in the children's choir.
Wow.
Because they didn't have a guitar player, because dad's students, most of them were playing keyboard. There were some guitar students as well, but I think in church and all, they mainly want a piano player rather than a guitar player. So all of a sudden, the children's choir person was like, "Oh, I need a guitar player." And like, so asked dad, "Oh, do you know any of the kids students who can play?"
Mm.
And I was like, "Oh, I'll play." And so I learned to play the guitar,
Wow.
and I played for mass, I think, for a few years, and I just didn't like it over time because it would hurt my fingers. And and the thing is, I have a very low pain threshold, so my fingers would bleed and stuff. So I kind of gave up the guitar after a while, but I picked up playing the guitar in New Zealand again as a teacher. So I used to play for the kids and stuff. And sometimes I just like cover here, there in bands and all if I do need to play. I do have an electric guitar at home with a pedal and stuff, but I can't play leads on the guitar, but I can do chord stuff.
You're
So
talking so casually about
Yeah.
all these learning guitar. 7th standard, yeah, I learned the guitar, and I have tried learning the guitar, man. It's not that easy. It's like
You have to be born with that talent.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, some of it is your genes as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like wearing jeans, but yeah.
That is true. And, just to sort of complete this whole experience that Cloyd's talking about, do you remember Mihir's episode where he talked about chorus
yes.
and how important chorus is, but people tend to, neglect it? It's the same thing with chords.
Yeah.
If you don't have chords, the song will never sound complete. So it's like the flesh. If the lead parts are the skeleton, then the chords is the flesh.
Yeah.
It completes the whole thing. So it's actually a very important part of any concert, isn't that right?
Yep, that's true.
Cool.
Yeah.
I
But
think
I would say actually
yeah.
along with that also the fun of it is very important as well,
Yeah.
because though we are there to do a job as musicians, as singers, we are also there to have fun.
Correct.
Because without fun, it's not going to kind of come out. The show is not going to be a success.
Yeah.
So that's really important. And sometimes it's good playing pranks on your fellow
Yeah.
mates as well. And I'm looking at you, Ritika, because I have a prank that I played on her a few shows ago.
Okay.
I don't know if you've got time to share.
Yeah, quick.
Absolutely.
Because
In
that
fact,
was the
this
next
is
segment, talking
yeah.
about the
Oh, is
nonsense
it?
that
Oh,
happens
okay,
backstage
okay.
and
a
on stage.
good story to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so so I'm also part of the Sri Lankan band called Dragons with Dawn.
Yeah.
And Ritika has sung with us a few times. And there was a show that we did, a wedding, and it was a Tamil Sri Lankan wedding. And Dawn was like, we need to do some Tamil songs along with Sri Lankan songs. And Ritika had already learned a few Sri Lankan Sonali songs. And we were like, okay, Tamil. So this one rehearsal, she didn't come. And we were like thinking of suggestions. And I was like, okay, let me just tell her to learn the song O Antawa, the one from the movie Pushpa, where Samantha
yeah.
Ruth Prabhu dances. It's that whole sexual song. Okay, O Antawa,
Yeah.
So I texted her and I was like, what we've decided for us to do the song. And she was like, are you sure? I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, you have to learn it next week as the rehearsal and stuff. So she, and I forgot about it, okay? And like things go by. Next week's rehearsal didn't actually happen. It got cancelled because of some other reasons. And then we meet 2 weeks later. And I think she messages me saying that, okay, I'm all ready. And I'm like, she's actually prepared the song. So I was like, I was just joking.
Whoa, you're just joking about
And
it.
I told her I was just joking about it. And she's like, oh, but I prepared this song. And then I called up Dawn and I was like, you know what? I actually told Ritika to learn this song. But it was just a joke, and she's now prepared it. So what do we do? So then he looked at me with a smile and he was like, well, now it's, because it's mainly drums and keyboard. So he was like, well, now you learn the song.
Yeah, and I
So-
used to stay up till midnight because I don't know the language. And I've annoyed Shikha and her mum. Like, I remember starting reading the lyrics to Shikha and her mum on the phone. And I read the first line and they burst out laughing, going, "Ye kya pad rahi hai? Tu bol kya rahi hai? What are you saying?" And then they read, word by word, they went through the entire song with me. Then I sang it like till midnight. Then I finally got it. I recorded 2 lines and I sent it to Dawn and I sent him a text saying I've done it. And then they both are like, he's like, I was just playing a prank on you. I'm like, what?
So then he was like, yeah, you need, now she's learned the song, drums can just play, like, it was a simple beat.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, now you learn the keyboard parts. And they were literally like Shreya parts and sax parts in that song, like all the lead lines and
Dharma.
stuff. So I had to play chords and I had to play the sax parts along, all as lines between the words and stuff. But it was a fun song.
It was a fun song, yeah.
The audience liked it. They quite danced it. They didn't expect it.
Yeah.
It was quite a hit song actually. But, I was like, maybe we
Great.
should do that. Tell singers to learn songs and
Yeah.
come on the show and say, oh, hey, show.
Awesome.
I think you're the prankster in the group.
Yeah, I would say I'm one of them.
You're one of them.
One of them. Maybe
Who's the other prankster? If you talk about Cassette in my Walkman, who would be the other prankster with you?
Well, the prankster is currently smiling in the room. Our sound guy Chai is another one. Okay, always pranking us. Then Hemant is a big prankster himself.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would say almost every musician is one, like, because you need to have that funny bone in your body to actually, it helps with the music. It helps keep things fresh and active and stuff and alive. Sorry.
Awesome.
It's a very naughty group.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cassette in my Walkman, every single person is it's a very naughty group.
Yeah. I'm looking at that now. Tell me this. Any other shows, productions that you're working on that you'd like to talk about?
Right now, Soneri Ade 2023 Cassette in my Walkman is my next show, is my next big show, and quite looking forward to it. I would say one thing, I really like the poster actually, because when Ritika shared it with me a few weeks ago before the unveiling, and I was like, wow, this looks cool. And I showed it to one of my friends who's actually, she likes doing abstract art, and she was like, it looks really good. Like, she liked the pastel colors in it and stuff. She's like, it looks different from what like your normal posters with faces up and like front and center and stuff like that. Like, it's something different, which is what we need, because if things get too monotonous, people don't really like to attend.
Yeah.
But if there's something different, like, it sparks that thing. And so this friend of mine is coming for the show.
Okay.
And she's bringing some of
Well
her
done.
as well.
She's gonna get teary now.
So it's just like that. I mean, and also the songs, like, I've been working on the charts for the songs now, and they all just bring back memories, because they're all songs that I've grown up to in the 90s and listening on, because we didn't have TV and stuff, so it was all on radio and on Doordarshan, or like listening,
Cassette.
people blaring from their houses, like on their speakers and stuff. And really looking forward to Scenario.
Awesome. Cloyd, it's been amazing chatting to you and getting to know you better, as a person. I think our audience has learned so much about not just Cloyd, but music in general.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I think we should continue this, and we should bring you back, get more behind stories. I think you need a platform where you want to
Speak up.
Speak up. I think it's going to be fun. But thank you, Cloyd. Thank you, and we look
Thanks for
forward to
having
seeing
me.
you blow and blow the stage away on the 6th of May.
Now I'm just going to wonder if the singers are going to try and figure out if the chords we play during Scenario are going to be the right ones or the pranked ones. So,
But yeah, you can come and check us out on the 6th of May at Dorothy Winston Center for a Cassette in my Walkman. Also, do follow us, Backstage Nonsense, on all our social media platforms, and check out other episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcast from.
Correct.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
See you.
bye.